Welcome to the High Ticket Success Podcast, where premium coaches, consultants, and advisors come for bold strategies, big breakthroughs, and real results. I'm your host, Dave Dubeau. Hey, gang, welcome back. Today we have another amazing high ticket coach, consultant, advisor. George Bryant is zooming in from Montana, so he's not too far from us up here in beautiful Canada, that's for sure. And George has a very interesting path. He was a military guy in the Marines for a number of years, 13 years, I believe.
Yep.
And then he's been big in health. He's been a best-selling New York Times author. He's built up companies, different companies, and he's been coaching people at a very, very high level for the last number of years. So, George, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thanks, man. I'm stoked. I told you I feel like I'm Canadian, so we get along well. Like I'm super close, so I'll take it.
So, George, let's just kind of get started a little bit on the coaching side of things. You aren't your typical executive coach guy. So tell us a little bit about what do you coach about, and who's like your target quote unquote avatar?
I love it. My partner jokes that I look like I just got out of prison, but I cry more than most females that she's friends with. And I was like, I guess God just made me a walking pattern interrupt.
Yeah, especially how did that go over the Marines? That's what I'm wondering.
Well, I didn't cry in the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps worked that out of me. I spent about a decade healing, and I'm like, I'm not a robot. Like there's relationships here. And then now I'm like the happiest man ever. But it's interesting because there's a big through line actually, because I never set out to be a coach, right? And Kate, bless her heart, she's like, honey, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And I'm like, oh, okay, got it. So I guess I'm a coach. But yeah, I've done it all. I've been in Fortune 50, Fortune 100, and I walked away from that world. And now I spend my time coaching people who, number one, understand that it's a long game to success, but it's never at the sacrifice of a customer, right? Like people forget that customers are who pays our bills, but yet they're treated like commodities. And I was like, would you be okay if your wife went through your sales funnel, or your mother? And they're like, never. I'm like, then why is it okay that mine does?
Wow.
Right. And just this kind of upstream battle of like what it really means to do business. And I joke with people because I've scaled hundreds of companies, 7, 8, 9, and 2 to a billion. You've never seen a business that's scaled by sacrificing people in the process. The ones that make it and the ones that scale, they have community. Community is dictated by relationships, and none of those have anything to do with revenue. And so my specialty is customer journey. I would say humbly that I'm one of the best in the world at it. I obsess about human psychology and customer journey and communication. Another one being mindset. And I say this to people frequently, especially when they're trying to build and scale their businesses. I tend to have this sweet spot of finding people when they're like playing in the 6-figure range and like wanting to get to 7 and 8.
Yeah.
I joke with them. I'm like, none of us were issued the entrepreneurial playbook. And success doesn't really come down to knowing more strategies and tactics. It's actually having a different perspective of the same situation that allows us to leverage them differently. And so I come in to help people scale effectively while also, increasing their bottom line, keeping good team culture, but also becoming the person to scale the business. And, people listening to this are like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, if you've ever been any human in life and you've like gotten a job and gotten a pay raise, but then at the end of the month, you've still had the same bank account balance as before, or ever lived a life where you were in like 6 relationships in a row, but yet they all ended with the same pattern. That's
or six at the same time.
Or 6 at the same time. I'll pray for them and we'll unpack that later. There's all these unconscious programs that we run that we're either caught or taught through evolution, and especially in entrepreneurship. And the things that it takes to make like your first 5 figures are different than the things that it takes to make your 6 figures and then your 7 figures. And one of the traps that entrepreneurs fall into is like, oh, I've made it. Oh, there's a finish line. And that's a very dangerous place to be, because what it really limits us to is the ceiling that we've hit. And then we try to maximize within that ceiling. But then all we do is spend more money, create more friction and pain. And then all of a sudden, we all have the goal of like, I want more time, more money, more freedom. And I'm like, great, but would you know what to do with it? Right? Because I gave you an extra 4 hours a week, and now you're doing more of these mundane tasks. So there's like,
You're watching more Netflix.
100%. I always joke
Yeah.
with people that really our perspective is the difference between our prison and our power. And no matter which way we slice it, every model of business to some degree, I'd say probably 99.5% of them have been proven and done. So it's not like we're reinventing the wheel. It's not like they have access to different models or different time periods. They're just leveraging the information in front of them with a different perspective to achieve a different goal. And that perspective typically is learned one of two ways. Either one, you pay somebody who's done it multiple times and you're like, don't run into that wall. Or the way that I did it is you run into that wall as many times as possible until you realize there's a wall and you want to stop running into it. And I try to prevent people from smashing the wall. And you said this in the intro. I was a Marine for 13 years. I didn't even know entrepreneurship was the thing. I didn't set out to be one. I started a food blog to document my healing journey. And then someone's like, you should sell me a product. And then my first ever digital product made $1 million. But then I did that, became a New York Times bestseller, #1 app. I figured out how to make an app. And then I was like, I don't like cooking. This is a really bad business to be in. I have 1 million followers. I have 6 million people a month coming to my website, and I don't want to cook anymore. And so I didn't know what to do. Hindsight, I could have sold it. I could have done whatever. I gave the company away as a Christmas present to a friend in 24 hours. And I was like, I want out. And
hopefully that friend didn't screw it all up.
Didn't screw it all up. They still run it.
Good.
It's great.
Okay.
At a great community. I was like, I need somebody who can love my people.
Well, let me ask you this, George, because to me, you got lots of things that you do very, very well. But if your secret sauce is kind of around the customer journey, or that's one big part of it.
Yep.
Can you walk us through your favorite story of working with a client and just transforming their customer journey? Kind of paint the picture for me.
100%. 100%. By the way, I love that question. No one ever asked me that question. This is like my favorite, like story time next to the campfire in Montana. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to tell you a specific story, but I want to set context too. One of the things that I want everybody listening to remember is that scaling a business does not come from acquisition. It comes from retention. Retention comes from relationships. And relationships are when we deliver what we promise without creating codependency in the process. And a lot of business that we see online today is done on fear and shame to create the I need you. You need me, you always need me. But yet if you ask about that person at dinner, we don't have anything good to say because we feel less than and like they're taking advantage of us. And this is an important frame because the one company that comes to mind, and I signed like an 800 and something page NDA, so I'll keep the name out, but it'll make sense. Sold a supplement. And when I walked in, I was like, they're doing about on average $1 million a month. And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, what's the problem? They're like, we can't get.
So what did they hire you for, George?
Great question. So they hired me to help with their social media strategy to acquire more customers.
Okay.
That was their goal.
More customers. Yeah.
When they want everyone, right? Because everyone falls into the more trap. I need more leads, more customers. And I joke with people, you shouldn't be adopting any more children until you can feed the ones that you have. And so you're trying to get 20 in the front door, but there's 80 leaving out the back. And every business owner knows this. Is it cheaper to acquire a new customer or keep an existing one? It's always cheaper to keep an existing one. Yeah. And so I walked in and I was like, cool, let's talk about this. But first I need to know how the business works. And they're like, yo, I'm like, what are we selling? Right. And they're like, we're selling this one product. I'm like, okay, cool. How are we selling it? They're like, we're doing a subscription on the front. And I was like, don't tell me anything else. Let me guess. Our average retention of a customer is 3.5 months. And they're like, how'd you know? And I was like, well, because you force somebody to buy a product that they don't have an established habit with because you harped on a desire or a need. They get it, but they're inconsistent with taking it. So it goes in the pantry and becomes shelf help. And they're like, okay. And I was like, so then the auto bill comes, they get the second one. And Susan's like, crap, I haven't been taking the supplement.
Forgot to eat the first one. Yeah.
Takes it out, takes it again inconsistently, but because she hasn't become the person to use this supplement, she'd never used it before, the second container ends up in the pantry. The third one comes and Susan's like, oh my God, I don't need any more. And she calls to cancel. And I was like, where's customer service? So like right here. And I was like, let me guess, the #1 cancellation request is the product doesn't work. And they're like, how did you know? And I was like, because no one is going to say, hey, I haven't been taking the product and I didn't use it, so give me my money back. which also means that every one of Susan's friends that mentions that product, Susan can only say one thing. And
It
the
didn't
only thing
work.
Susan can say is the product doesn't work. And Google figured out in like 2020 that like 86% of marketing was word of mouth. But here's the craziest part. It's not that Susan didn't take the product. We failed to lay out the framework to help her become the person to take the product. And we
Mm.
assumed because she bought it, she would use it. But now everybody listening to this, think about all the things in your home that you bought that you had the intention to use that you haven't used or hidden in a drawer or hidden in a cupboard.
Yeah.
And I think what people,
Hiding my face in shame here, George, I tell you.
right? And
Yeah.
I think the thing that people miss is that when all you do is sell the product, what you're doing is selling the bridge, but promising the island on the other side. And our job isn't to just sell the product. It's our job is to almost be a personal trainer, no matter what the product or
To,
service is.
to hold their hand across the bridge.
100%.
Yeah.
Because that's what builds endowment. That's what builds relationships. That's what gives them evidence and touch points to share with other people. Because a human being psychologically will only share about an experience for one of five reasons: humor, credibility, education, social status, or controversy.
Mm.
And if you don't give them one of the first four, what's the one that we default to on social media?
Controversy.
Controversy,
Yeah.
because we need something to bond over. And so everybody fails to recognize that if you don't treat your business the same way, you're going to end up in this bucket. So here was the craziest part. I had to make a very expensive bet with the CEO, and I was like, we're going to stop selling subscriptions
Wow.
and we're not going to offer them till about week 3 or 4. And he made me bet a lot of money. But what they were doing is they'd say, hey, Dave, buy this supplement. You get one email that said, hey, your supplement's on the way. And then you drop into their sales sequence.
Mhm.
I added 5 emails. That was it. And the first 5 emails were one of my signature models, which is Apple: acknowledge, prepare, project, let them know, and excite. And it went along the lines of like, hey, Dave, I just wanted to welcome you to the family. I know you're trying to strengthen your skin and your health. Our product isn't the solution. It's just one way to get there with these other habits and behaviors. And over the next couple of days, we're going to lay out how you can get the most out of the product, but also the most out of your life with these goals, even if you decide to no longer use the product. Because our mission isn't to help you buy a product. Our mission is to help you feel A, B, and C, which is why we exist as a company. So keep your eyes peeled over the next couple of days and we'll guide you through the process. Then
Nice.
prepare. And I was like, hey, Dave, the biggest mistake that people make when the box arrives is they put it in their pantry, and shelf help doesn't get you healthier hair, skin, and nails. And so
Mm.
here's what you're going to want to do when it arrives. Here's how to add it to coffee. Here's how to add it to your smoothies. Project, painting the picture of what your life would look like in the future. And I was like, and Dave, by the way, inconsistency is the number one reason people don't get results. But when you take it consistently, around day 90, you'll see this. Around day 180, you'll see this, a little future pacing to let
Mhm.
them know as I went and attacked your objections. And I was like, and by the way, Dave, if this happens, do this. If you're thinking this, that's normal. If you miss a day, don't worry about doubling up the next day. Just change your habits, set a reminder in your phone. And by the way, know that we're here to support you. You can hit reply to these emails anytime. And then day 5 was excite, which was, hey, your product should have arrived by now. And even if you don't read our emails, we want you, when you see our name in your inbox, just it to be a reminder to take your product. Know that we're standing for you, know that we're supporting you. Because starting this week, you're just going to start getting our weekly newsletter that's going to help you with A, B, and C. The retention before those 5 emails was 3.5 months. Lifetime value of the customer was around $116. We added those 5, and then around week 2 or 3, we reminded them if they were taking it consistently, they should be running low. And if they wanted to save 15%, they could sign up for a subscription.
Mm.
Retention went from 3.5 months to 18 months
Oh
on
my
the same
God.
customer. And LTV went from like 120 to 7 something on the same one. And so they went from $1 million a month to 18 months later, a $2 million day on the same acquisition cost. But now all the marketers are like, oh my God, you give me a $700 LTV. I have a whole lot more leverage to play with on the front.
Yeah.
And so I have hundreds of those experiences, and I'm going to shorten the line for everybody really quickly. One of my litmus tests is if you imagined your business existed in a brick and mortar, would you talk to, communicate, or treat people the same way you do online right now?
Mm.
So imagine somebody comes into your store and your product, even if it's your service or coaching, is on the shelf behind you. And they're like, I have a question. You're like, you can't ask me till you pay me. right? But yet we do that online. Or they're like,
Right.
hey, I want to buy it, but what is the thing that I'm going to have to do when I get home? And you're like, nope, I'm just going to send you one video that you have to watch and get on a call. And we're like, no. And we think about these things. And somehow, when the internet was created, because I've been doing this since like 2008, it's become more transactional and more disconnected and not as much about the person's experience or what they achieve. And then what we end up doing is creating invisible damage that hurts both us and them. Because I feel like we have this responsibility. Because if you buy my product and I tell you it's going to work, but then I don't help you use it, it's not only that you're not my customer anymore. Now you have more evidence that you can't achieve that goal, and I'm the reason.
Made it worse instead of better. Yeah.
100%.
So, George, that makes a ton of sense for the supplement company idea. I
Same with
know this makes sense
services.
for everybody, but let's translate this
Hmm.
paint by numbers simple. How does this apply for us as high ticket coaches,
Yep.
consultants, advisors? How do you see this like in that personal service type
It's
arena?
such a great reframe and a question. We are in the game of monogamous relationships at scale, not revenue. When you think about it, the more money somebody invests, the more safety they have to feel unconsciously in their body to make that investment. Because if they don't, what do you end up with? You end up with a lot of pressure, a lot of blaming. This isn't working, high impact, like high
Yeah.
need client. Because what we're in the game of is we're in the game of getting somebody to invest in themselves. With us, is for a lack of better analogy, the Olympic gold medal coach. One of the mistakes that I see high ticket coaches and consultants make is they make it all about them. Name me one Olympic gold medalist where you can name me their coach,
Yeah. I
and you
can't.
can't. And I was
No,
like, but also name me one of those Olympic gold medalists that doesn't have a coach.
none. They all have
None.
coaches. Yeah.
And just because everybody asks, because everyone has imposter syndrome, also name me one of those coaches that has a gold medal. You can't. So this is for all my high ticket coaches and consultants who think you can't do it because you haven't done it. Just because you haven't done it doesn't mean you can't see the playbook in everybody else's world. So
Right.
there's a quick pass for you there. So when we think about this, what we're really doing in any capacity, it doesn't matter if you're in services, marketing, operations, team, efficiency, what you're really doing is you're becoming the person for somebody to borrow clarity, confidence, and accountability from to become the person to have the goal that we're promising, right? You might go install systems in businesses. It's great that you install the system, but not if they don't use it when you're no longer there.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so, as cheesy as it sounds, it's really about teaching somebody a fish versus handing them a fish. But what it requires from us is patience, vision, and a whole lot of relationship management. And typically, the higher investment, the more of that is required. Just like we treat our spouses and pour more into that relationship than we do the barista that we see at the coffee shop. Now, if the barista needs something, we're going to be there. But if our wife needs something, we're going to have it handled and an entire army show up to
We
support
better.
them. We better. Yeah, that's a whole other podcast, my friend. We could do that one for a couple of days. And so I think one of the mistakes that I see people make is as a high ticket coach or a consultant, they make it about the offer. It's really not about the offer. The offer is just the shared upon ground that we both agreed to meet on. But now it's about making sure that you become or embody the thing that I'm teaching you, which
Mhm.
requires oversight. And, I've been doing this for 20 years. The only analogy that I can think of is a personal trainer. And it's the difference between being like, hey, Dave, I want to lose 100 pounds. Client A, you're like, great, here's your workouts, your supplements, your meal plans, and your gym membership, and I'll see you in 12 months. And client B is like, hey, I got all this stuff for us to do, but all I want you to do is walk for 10 minutes tonight, drink some water, get some sleep, and meet me here tomorrow. And I'm going to meet with you every day as we start working through this. Well, client A never loses a pound, and
Mhm.
client B just ends up as like a superhero. And it's because our job is to create the path where somebody can become the person to achieve that goal. They build the confidence, they build the momentum, they start to see things in their perspective. And so I see people treating the sale as if it's the finish line, when in actuality, the sale is a starting line. It's like when you
Yeah.
say, I do. And
Mhm.
can you have success in the first option? 100%. But then what do you end up with? No referrals. constantly feeling like people didn't get results or blaming you and telling other people about it, and then never knowing where your business is coming from. Option B is you get people that stick around forever. They tell everybody else about you. They give you feedback back and forth that helps you become a better coach, a better consultant. And then you have a business that's predictable and built on values. And so, really, it's this high end concierge frame that we want to think of it in. But there is no shortcut in this. Like, you
Yeah.
can try to scale your business as much as you want, but the moment you remove yourself from it, you removed the secret sauce and you're not entitled to just collecting that money. Like, we made a promise to somebody like, hey, Dave, I'm going to help you scale your business with customer journey and mindset. And you're like, amazing. I'm not done till you're done,
Hmm.
right? Because that's my word that I gave. And there's a level of responsibility that comes from that. And so I think it's a really important metric for people to understand, but we tend to overcomplicate the process because, yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
go
best way
ahead.
I can say it.
Yeah, no, that is fantastic. George, we're kind of get towards the end of our time here, my friend. Before we wrap things up, a couple of quick questions. Besides word of mouth and referrals, what, if anything, do you do to generate business for your coaching business?
Great question. So the first thing, and I'm going to give full credit to a friend of mine, Bob Berg. If you've never read the book, The Go-Giver, I highly recommend everybody reads the book, The Go-Giver. For me, Dave, it's really, really simple. I have a belief that every single human being I meet is a client. It's just a matter of when. So there's about 85 Delta flight attendants that listen to my podcast that are not entrepreneurs. There's about 40 baristas in this valley that I've had personal book recommendations given. I look for creating opportunities where I can pour into people and I can just add value to the world. Like, my Bible tells me to sow, and I sow as much as I can. And
Nice.
so, like, a tangible example is I was just driving from Toronto to Vermont for a wedding, an 8 hour drive. I happen to have a friend text me randomly catching up, and he's like, we're in Vermont running our mastermind. I'm so excited to be here. I'm like, dude, where in Vermont? And he's like, so and so. I'm like, that's 45 minutes from where I'm going to go. Can I stop in? He's like, I can make space for an hour. I drove on a road trip on the way to a wedding, stopped in, gave a 90-minute keynote with not paid, nothing
Yeah,
else. I'm
yeah.
like, I'm just here to help, and then went to the wedding. And then I had 6 messages in my inbox from the event. I'm so grateful you stopped by. I'd love to get on a call. It was so good to see you again. And so I feel like my philosophy in business is that I can't win until you win first. And so I look for and create opportunities of service with no attachment, just truly of service. But I also frame them correctly, where it's like, hey, Dave, if you ever want a customer journey call, I'll give you an hour of my time, but I'll also tell you at the end of that hour, if there's anything else, like, we're going to have to come into an engagement because, like, I have to focus on clients. And so
Hmm.
I'm a big believer in show them, don't tell them. And I feel like that speaks for itself. And so I do that as much as possible. And I don't ask for referrals. I tend to ask for opportunities to pour into other people. And it is 100% been for 20 years the biggest needle mover in my business, where I'll say yes to every podcast. I will say yes to any keynote. I'm like, as long as you cover my flight and my hotel and I have capacity, I'm on my way. And I just look
Nice.
at it as like improving upon the silence. And that's just the crazy way that I do business.
Awesome, George. I've really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you very much for pouring so much into it.
Oh, of course, man.
Congratulations on what you've done. Thanks for sharing about the client journey. I love that story. That
Of
was
course.
fantastic. If people want to get more George Bryant and connect with you, where should they go?
Yeah, great question. I'm going to make it really, really easy. My favorite color is pink, just to add to the prison vibe. Bald, beard, tattoos, look like I get out of the prison
Well,
yard.
you don't. I don't see any pink on you right now, but anyhow. Oh, there
There we
you
go. Pink shoes, pink water cup,
go.
my
Okay, I take
backpack's
it back.
pink.
I
And I
take it
say
back.
that I say that to everybody because I also have the pinkest website that you will ever see. It looks like a Care Bear threw up on my website, and I just own it all day, but I love pink. And so I have a podcast. My mission is to help as many entrepreneurs as I can, and I do that 99% through giving everything away for free. So I have a podcast up there. My Instagram is linked as well. And if you have any questions, you can shoot me a personal DM on Instagram and I will personally answer your question. I will help any way I can. So it's really easy. It's mindofgeorge.com. Pincus website, at minimum, you got to go check it out to make sure that I'm not lying to you. And truthfully, from a marketing brain, I opened what's called the Zygarnik effect. It's an open loop. So like go
You got
scratch
to go.
that itch.
You can't resist now. We got
You
to
got
check
you
out
got to
the
go
big
you got to
website.
go do it now. But I genuinely mean it, Dave. I benefit, like, my life's work. Like, I've retired a long time ago and I just love helping. And so give me the opportunity, because there's no silly question, there's no stupid question, whether it's a framing a call, a marketing thing, a mindset thing, a customer journey thing. Like, at least give me the opportunity to pour into you, or else I'll recommend somebody who can. But the easiest place to remember is mindofgeorge.com.
Fantastic, George. Thanks for joining us on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, brother.
All right, everybody, take care, and we will see you on the next episode. Thanks for listening to the High Ticket Success Podcast. Want to be featured, share your story, and inspire other premium coaches, consultants, and advisors? Apply now at highticketsuccesspodcast.com/guest.